Welcome back trainers, it's Mongoose here with a new entry into the Pokkendex. We've all seen Pokemon with beams and moves that can be quite annoying, but did you know there are easy ways to get around them and back to wailing on your opponent? I'll be covering the ways to counteract and beat out projectiles so that frustration can finally end. The Pokemon you'll most commonly see that give you these issues will be those with a beam like Chandelure or a powerful projectile like Brazen. In field phase, these might not be such of an issue. Your best options will be to move left, right, jump or shield. Once put into the dual phase, your movement won't be as free. You should be trying your hardest not to let these Pokemon back themselves up and get their distance, but if they do, there's options to fix the problem. The most effective thing to do against this would be using the technique known as CADC, or Counterattack Dash Cancel. We covered it in our last Pokkendex entry. While countering, input R and a direction with your control pad, and you'll dash out of the counter free to move again. Working in both field and dual phase, CADC allows for fluid movement and different, more effective ways to act out of counters. If your counter has you backed into a corner, you can use CADC to escape, grab, attack, or even counter again. CADC still allows you to absorb hits with counter, so this means if you have an opponent using one too many projectiles, you can use CADC to approach and put a stop to it. One major flaw in counters is that sometimes they can be pierced, rendering them useless. You won't want to use counters against Mewtwo or Chandelure's beams. They will more than likely to always pierce your counter. Gardevoir and Suicune's beams can be countered, however. Gardevoir has a low hitting projectile that can pierce counters as well. Just keep in mind that for specific moves and react accordingly, it may take some time conditioning to get your mind to choose the correct option quick enough, but it's possible. CADC will work against the majority of projectile moves, even supports like Frogadier with his Water Shuriken. CADC doesn't count as shielding, as stated before. Some moves will pierce through counters. Any move that pierces counters, a shield should be used instead. If you're anticipating the attack to hit, be careful, because too much shield pressure and your shield will break, so keep a balance if possible. Let's go into some other ways that projectiles can be beaten. If you're willing to use them, there are supports that can block some projectiles, whether it be creating a barrier or attacking through them. The most obvious is Whimsicott's Substitute, but there are others such as Fennekin with its Ember, and Snivy with its Leaf Tornado. Electrode also acts as its own counter. Like I said before, support moves are also capable of being countered, blocked, or have a CADC placed into effect, considering a lot of them are projectile based. Some Pokemon have projectiles that will break through another, beams being a prime example. There are also others that can clash together, cancelling them out. This is most common in the field phase, but it also happens in the dual phase too. Pokemon such as Brazen and Mewtwo have counters built into the barriers, allowing for moves to be absorbed. However, you can't CADC out of these. Brazen can use its Fire Tornado to block some projectiles as well. Some stances can allow you to avoid projectiles as well. Blaziken's high stance counters high hitting weaker projectiles, low stance counters low hitting ones. Gengar and Chandelure's high and low stances allow for some projectiles to be avoided entirely, whether floating above or crouching below anything coming their way. The initial activation of a Synergy Burst can block anything heading towards your Pokemon, and get you out of a bad situation. If you're feeling risky, you can try and take advantage of some of the armor that you get, and get closer to your opponent. And if they continue to attack, time your burst attack to get a free hit. It gets very frustrating being placed up against a trainer who chooses almost absolutely nothing but their projectiles, but there are ways to get around it. It's not impossible. Figure out the options you've been placed with, and you find the most optimal one to approach your opponent and put an end to their tyranny. Thanks for watching, and if you have any questions, comments, or topics you'd like us to cover, tell us in the comments below or visit us on our Twitter page. Good luck trainers, we'll see you in the next entry of the Pokkendex.